Hi guys, and welcome to FitPro's webcast. I'm joined with a really dear friend of mine and someone who's played an integral part in FitPro and ViPR. Many of you will know him as Aaron, Coach Azza. He's going to talk to us about his thoughts and wisdoms on men's health. And this is because it's Men's Health Week and also Men's Health Month in June. I think what we're going to do is get through some top tips, some reflections, and I think that we can all learn from this. I would like to take a two-pronged attack in the fact that we want to be thinking about how we can service our clients and look after them, so the males or people identifying as male, but also how are you looking after yourself? So first of all, Aaron, thanks for joining us. You were on the other side. For once, you get to be interviewed.
Yeah, it's great to be on the other side. Thanks, Teresa. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate being back.
Oh, it was so lovely. I'm going to briefly say why we wanted to talk to you. I mean, obviously you're my buddy, so I want to chat to you anyway, but there's a couple of things. Obviously, Aaron is male. He's been in the fitness industry for a long time. So it's going to bring a lot of insight. But also he's been recently working with an amazing company called Peppy, who are working in the corporate side of things. Now, he came into that role. This company were looking all about men's health, and he was taken on board to sort of look at the men's fitness side of things. So there's going to be a lot of insights that he can bring. But before, obviously, we had a chat before we started recording, but we were just discussing some of the statistics that are astonishing, that are really affecting men's health. And as I said earlier, I just really want to just acknowledge that this might seem quite binary. We're just talking about men in this situation. We are very aware that there is a very broad spectrum and to do with gender identity as well. But Aaron, in his role, is looking after guys and people who are identifying as male as well. So hopefully we're going to take a lot away from this. So I'm going to hit you with your first question. So men's health, broad term, isn't it? Really broad term. How are you sort of looking at defining it and how it sort of affects you and affects your clients?
Yeah, I think, before stepping into the role I'm in now, when I was a traditional PT in a traditional setting, I was kind of thinking of men's health as the men and their fitness, being able to be fit, strong and move well. And it was maybe about weight loss, or it was maybe about trying to get better at a sport or something like that. And actually, now stepping into this new role, I've realized there's so much more to men's health. It's such a broad term. It isn't just what you see in the classic magazines. And I think where we are at Peppy, we deliver it with a kind of 3-4 pronged approach. Is we're looking at the man as a general health term. Mm-hmm. So we look at urology, penis health. We look at, men's kind of internal health, and all the kind of the big deals like cancers and all that side of things, blood pressures, etc., that general side. Then we look at fitness and nutrition, because that actually can have a massive impact on the general health side. And we kind of plug in there and look at how men are living their lives, what are their lifestyles like? And I guess that's a key point as well. We're looking at the whole lifestyle, not just how strong someone is or how much they can bench, etc. And then we look at the man from a kind of a behavioural or a mental side as well. We've got a mental health team that can look at that side of the male. So we really have much a bigger 360 view of what it is to be a healthy man. It's not just about being able to lift a bunch of tin. It's also about trying to, be mentally strong. I love the term mental fitness. It's one of the term that we use. I love that term, mental fitness, as well as physical fitness, as well as well-being. And we know that they all interact with each other.
Yeah. And do you know what? I think what's probably been a great place to be is actually starting from the health first of all, and then applying fitness. I know it's different sort of in the women's side of things for you guys, but I think that's really important, because all of the kind of communication, the whole basis of it is you know, much broader. And I think that's really, really important, isn't it, to look at it from that holistic point of view. So second question coming to you. Why do you think guys do struggle to prioritize their health, their fitness?
I think a lot of it comes, like when I was thinking about this, you know, over the last couple of days, and I think a lot of it comes down to work, and that work balance, that, you know, it's that term, isn't it, that work-life balance. Abilities for companies to actually recognize that a healthy man equals a productive man. A lot of men that we hear and we have coming to us, one of the biggest boundaries they come to us with is time, available time and accountability. And I think they're either overburdened with work and just overstressed with everything and trying to live, you know, be with their family, manage work situations. I think there's too much, and there's no kind of bandwidth left. There's no scope left in the person's brain or body to be able to contemplate fitness or health, you know, healthy movement activity on a regular basis. And companies aren't doing enough. They're, you know, I know too many people that are doing far too long a days at work, you know, because it's expected of them. And companies aren't doing enough, or, well, some companies are starting to do enough, but a lot of companies aren't doing enough to support their men and women with giving them available time and incentivizing their health. You know, a healthy worker is a strong, good worker.
Absolutely.
In every demographic of work.
And one of those stats that we were talking about was men and going to the doctor. Tell me that stat that you found out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Women go to the doctor, have 9 official touch points during their life with a GP that they kind of get invited to and they have to go to. And that starts between 10 and 15 years old, right? Men, we only get 2 touch points with a medical professional. And the first one is at 40 years old. Now that's far too late. That's far too late to be having your first medical check. And most men don't know that they have the option to do it. Most men don't get told by their clinics, their GPs, that, oh, by the way, you're now 40, come and get an MOT with us, essentially.
And what was the stat about women versus men, about, you know, women going to the GP more? What was that stat that you...
So we got this stat, and we work, so because we are corporate, we're working within working environments, and we found that 50% of men go to the GP half as much as working women. So working men versus working women, half of men go half as much as women. Like half as much. That's quite a big difference.
Significant, isn't it? Massive. And I think it is that, you know, that thing of like, and I hate generalizations, so let's just have this permissive language, but there is that chat of, oh, guys don't go to the doctor early enough or even enough. But one of the stats I found out when researching for this was actually, by the time guys retire, they go to the GP just as much. So it's got to be something, hasn't it, about when you are in work, you are a bit of a crusader, you know, you wear tiredness on your sleeve, you deplete. You cannot be seen to be vulnerable even to yourself, let alone your workforce and men. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, lots of our men, you know, we're in a really fortunate position because we're kind of the other side of it. We're like almost breaking through. And we're actually having, men are coming to us saying, first conversation I've had about my health at silly ages, like 45, 50, 60, 57-year-old, saying, I really think it's time I made a change and actually talked about my health. You're like, this is, you know, you wouldn't obviously say it's too late, but it is. You know, we should be having these conversations earlier, and we shouldn't see it as a weakness or vulnerability. We should see it as a strength. It is a strength. You know, anyone that is essentially, if you're too scared, you're too scared. That's weakness, you know, too scared of what people think, you know. We need to get our heads around that. It is a scary thing. to do, because no one wants bad news.
No. But it's a cultural thing,
Yeah.
that we have to change, don't we? One of the things I wanted to ask you was this kind of difference between, obviously you're in this space where people are coming in and now they have this ability to communicate openly, be vulnerable and stuff like that. Do you see a difference between maybe your clients and your friends? Because ultimately, it's not just we should rely on GPs, medical professionals, fitness, people. We should be able to turn to our mates and our buddies and say, I'm struggling with this. Do you see a difference because you are in that role that people are able to open up, or just because you are a PT, do your friends turn to you because you have the answer to things? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they'll turn to me for maybe fitness advice, or as I could do with losing a few pounds. But we're not talking about their health. So as far as my friends are concerned, they'll talk to me about losing weight. They'll talk to me about what can I do in the gym to get a bit bigger here or there. But we won't talk about them, very rarely. There's very few friends that, feel comfortable enough to talk about their mental health, to talk about their general health, especially. Men don't talk to men about their penises, and it's ridiculous. Like, it's just a thing, literally. So we kind of, we need to talk more about that. What we get at Peppy is, because we are somewhat anonymous, so the users come in and they are anonymous. We don't know them. We know them by username. We know them by first name, but we know them by their stats and what they give us when they come on board with us, which is great insight. But we don't know the person, and the person therefore I think feels more comfortable actually opening up to us about serious things. I think
sorry to interrupt, just to give some context of people listening, is this done sort of on Messenger, so it's not video at first? Right.
It's like a WhatsApp to begin with.
Yeah.
And, they're talking to people that we're all well qualified and trusted, and we have these different teams. We have our general health team, our fitness and nutrition team, our mental health team, and people go to the right person for the right thing. But what they get often, actually, what we find is 50%. It's funny, even 50% of our users that come on board with us via our app, they want to talk about fitness first. Again, it's that safe place that they want to start. It's exactly the same as my mates. It's exactly the same as my clients back in, when I was doing traditional personal training, that's the first place. And then once we've got them comfortable, then we have like consultations where we will get them on Zoom and things like that. Once we're comfortable. But I've found that I am having deeper conversations earlier, sooner, which I think is better.
Right. But do you think that's because they know that's available in the even in the periphery, that there's ED issues, there's this fertility, there's hormones, so suddenly they know that somewhere in that team they could actually turn to discuss these things? And I'm wondering whether, as fitness professionals, we need to be talking in this, when we're doing our bios and stuff like that, maybe we need to talk about what we can talk about rather than just fitness and health. I mean, I remember, someone saying that when I taught like pelvic floor, sort of specialty sort of stuff, and they were sort of saying, saying that you're a pelvic floor friendly teacher, just even saying that means that it's just that language that means that you talk, it's not taboo. So I think maybe people are able to be open like that. So then if you weren't doing this role and you're a PT, how can you start those conversations and keep those conversations going?
Yeah, I think you're totally spot on there. Actually, something I didn't do as a traditional trainer, which if I had my chance again, I would definitely go back in telling people that I would love to talk about this more. And I guess it comes down to your language, depending on the person in front of you, opening that conversation during your consultation process. If you're having a consultation with someone and trying to gather all that important information, you don't necessarily want to ask them the things that you want to ask them right there and then, right? Because they don't know you, they aren't anonymous, they're completely in front of you. But to let them know that whatever they talk about is confidential and private and won't go any further than them, you know, saying it in a language that will allow that person to kind of gain a little bit more trust and rapport in you, and actually go, oh, he is willing to, or she is willing to talk to me about this. To
go there.
I think right, that's a simple first step, Teresa, is having people say, like, as a PT, me saying to a client, I'm totally here for you and happy to talk about anything, and I'm here to listen about anything you want to open up about, and it doesn't have to be fitness.
No, exactly. And I think, you know, within that we can be very boundaried and say, you know, I really want this to be a safe space. I'm the sort of trainer that likes to talk about pelvic floor, you know, sleep, whatever it is, your mental health. I like to talk about these things because I think it's really, you know, integral part of just how our fitness works and all that. You don't have to say we're going to talk about it next week, but just by mentioning that you might talk about those things, you know, you can. I think it's so important to almost set out the stall quite early, because I think then people can close a conversation down and go, no, that's not going to affect me. Doesn't affect me. But you can keep on checking in and saying, you know, do you remember when we first met and I said I'd be checking in with you on, you know, how your sleep is, how your mood generally is? Should we have that conversation today? Oh, no. Okay, well, let's touch base on that, you know, another time. But I'd really like to explore that with you, because I think that's a fundamental part for everybody in fitness and health. Because I think the thing is, what we don't want is for the client to feel like they're being singled out or we've identified an issue, right? It's just, this is part of my package that I am going to talk about these things. So yeah, I heard you sort of saying, you know, what would you do differently if you took the PT role again? And it's lovely, isn't it, going into a new role and sort of reflecting and going, oh yeah, I'd probably do this. So when I was researching for this, there's actually, it appears there's been actually a decline in males' life expectancy. And we were talking about those stats, weren't we? That, what is it, 1 in 5?
1 in 5
die
before they finish
65.
work. Yeah.
That's astonishing. That's astonishing, isn't it? And we're looking at also male mental health with suicides. 3 out of 4 suicides is in the males, and that I think it's between particular peak time about 45 to 49. So it's the biggest killer of males. And I'm sorry if I said commit suicide. Taking their own lives. It's not the right way to say it at all. But yeah. But yes, 3 out of 4 people taking their life is in males, which is astounding. So if we're thinking about mental health, if we're talking about, you know, life expectancy, what are your thoughts? What do you want to drive males to be thinking about, or to be thinking about their clients to sort of help with mental health and stuff? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think something else interesting was that women actually have more stress and like stressful life events and stressors in their lives. Like there's research that shows women actually have more of these stressors than most men, but actually men with the same stressors, men deal with it worse. They struggle to deal with it more. They are more vulnerable to depression and things like that. I think I've really learned, like, it's amazing. Having a mental health practitioner essentially virtually next to me is absolutely is a game changer. And it's something that's one of those things, like when we're talking about what would you do again, for me, is I would be reaching out to my local mental health practitioners, and I'd be kind of creating some sort of relationship with them. And again, it's a very hard conversation to then have with your male users, to be able to then, but even having conversations with your if you know a mental health practitioner, you'll get to know one. They can offer you advice in how to listen, and maybe, you know, what you could, because you might have a client that doesn't want to go and seek that professional help, but they might be willing to open up to you. And you've got to be aware of where your scope and your boundaries are.
Sure.
But at the same time, we can still help. Like, one of the big things that I get told by our, Linda, is you can still help that, Aaron. From that perspective, you can still help. You can still do plenty. So it's nice here. And I think having those conversations, and actually, I think opening up yourself a little bit.
Right. Yes.
Opening up yourself a little bit. So I have a lot of conversations with guys at the moment, and I'm willing to share my own experiences, whether it be mental health, whether it be general health. I've actually, since joining Peppy, I've had some great experiences using our service myself.
Yes.
And I'm like,
there you go.
I would never have done that. As a PT, especially being self-employed, and then that costs money and blah blah blah, but it's so worth it. Like, now going back, I would 100% say to anyone, health is wealth, so prioritize that. Right.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I mean, one of the things I was just thinking about when we're talking about mental health, I've done the mental health awareness courses and stuff like that. I think they're really good shouts. Are like a level 2 qualification. It's sort of, it helped. I mean, I've gone through my own mental health journey and had lots of support, so I felt quite informed anyway. And actually, I think that's really helpful for me when working with people anyway, because I'm talking from a place of experience and my own life experience without talking about my stuff. I can kind of know and feel and know what it needs, have that additional support. But actually, so yes, doing our own work is really important. So whether it's studying and doing something like a mental health course, researching something, or even getting somebody to help us and stepping into that space. I remember years ago, I asked you to be my personal trainer, right? Because you can't do it all, right? So I turned to you, and you helped me in my fitness journey. Can I do that myself? Yes, of course. But I needed to turn to somebody else to give me that little inspiration and stuff like that. So that's really great. So one of the next ones I was going to talk about, because obviously you guys, I know you're not working with us directly, with things like male hormones and stuff. Talk to me about Peppy with that. I know that things like fertility as well. I think that's a really fascinating thing that's often not spoken about. So can you tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so I'll give you a user example if you like. Like, we had a guy came to me, obviously came for fitness first, and he was a big guy over lockdown, packed on a load of muscle. Like, he'd gone up by about 10 kilograms in a year, and we're kind of like, okay, that's pretty phenomenal. And we started talking, and I gave him some advice on how he can continue this trend of growth, and and now he's wanted to cut a little bit. And so, but because we had nice conversations, I gave him some support. He started to feel more comfortable. He was quite reserved to begin with. And we had a consultation, and he just started to draw in and actually kind of go, okay, these guys can help. And actually then from there, he went to then our general health team. They popped their head in and said, hey, anything we can help with. I think he then created this there was a sense of trust as a whole. And he actually started talking about, his mood and libido issues and other things. And so the subsequent thing was, why don't you get a testosterone test done? And we offer them for free. So we deliver them out, home testing kit. You take your little finger prick test, send it back, and then we get the results, and then we talk them through the results. And I think what's really interesting, then we found that his testosterone was actually quite low, and his free testosterone in particular. So it's almost like he'd been using all his reserves, had been going into his training. And actually, so what we've tried to do between myself, the nutrition team, he was eating like his food was grey. It was chicken and rice, and that was about it. And we worked together as a holistic approach. And he worked with our mental health practitioners to reduce some stress. He worked with us to work out, rejig his kind of timings on his lifestyle. He was going to the gym super late. And then wasn't eating until even later, and then not sleeping properly because of it. And it was just this real big cycle, a social thing. He's now going out and he's made an effort with some friends, blah, 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 blah. It's all come together, and his testosterone has improved. He's done a retest and it's gone up. And what we do as well was we work in those gray zones as well. If you went to a GP and got a testosterone test done, often, as long as you're above the line, you're good, you're fine. And actually what we're doing is, well, if you're here to here, you're not above the line until you're up here, really, for us.
Yeah.
We want you in a healthy, not just acceptable, but what is a healthy, and also retest, because some people have naturally lower testosterone. And then, if the lifestyle things don't work, then that's when we start to work on the replacement therapy.
Wow. So that's wicked. Yeah.
Again, it's that all wraparound approach, which again, if I was a personal trainer right now, and if I was to go back into it, I'd be looking at ways that I can deliver more of this side of things, because men and testosterone affects mood, it affects energy, it affects confidence, it affects appearance, and it affects performance. It's one of our most significant hormones. And the more I read about it, the more I get from our amazing general health team about testosterone, and the more they teach me, and the more I'm like, wow, we need to be, how much more can I support this?
Absolutely. What else can I be doing? So, okay, how open do you stay about your own health? Right, let me say this to you, because I think the people listening will I want them to sort of reflect on this as well. Like, as fitness professionals, I think that we role model fitness health and stuff like that. And I think there's a part of us and I think there may even be a bit of an expectation from some of our clients that we find it easy, we're naturally fit, we do everything, we only eat chicken and rice and broccoli, that we never struggle because we're always bouncy and lively and stuff like that. How do you manage it for yourself? And also, do you ever let any of that sort of, how would I say, leak out a little bit, so you seem more human to a client without losing your boundaries?
Often we'll talk about, I've had this, it's very interesting, because you want to listen, and you don't. For men, we'd like to go, oh yeah, I had that, oh yeah. And as personal trainer, we do a lot of, oh yeah, I did that, oh yeah, I had that. And actually, you got to not necessarily go, oh, I had that, but when it comes down to, actually, I've had the testosterone test done myself, which I had done. And I will say that to guys if they're talking to me about their training and they want to gain weight, and maybe gain muscle, and they're tired, blah blah blah. I might talk to them about the opportunity to have a testosterone test done, and I will mention that, look, it was great for me, because even I've made improvements since having my test done. It's not all about the I've done this, but you got to come at it in the right way. I guess a little example, like I used to coach and train tennis players, right, at different levels, particularly kind of the younger guys. And therefore, I would never, ever step on a tennis court. And I worked at a rackets health club. And I'd never step on a tennis court, because I didn't want to seem vulnerable in front of them. Whereas, like yesterday, I went and did a Spartan-y obstacle course race with a bunch of my old clients. I think that's such a difference. Now I'm more willing to kind of I'll show my weaknesses, I'll show my vulnerabilities, because it actually makes you more human as a trainer as well.
It does, 100%.
I was on a consultation showing a guy the other day who he's a desk worker, and he had some neck and shoulder issues. And I sort of said, look, I use this myself. And I got down on the floor just down behind me where I am now, and was showing him a few that I was like, please excuse my crappy range of motion, because and he was like, you know what, Aaron, that is so good to see that even someone like yourself had things to work on. And it made him more engaged, and we've talked more since, and he's kept with the program. And that's a really powerful thing, Teresa, is to open stuff up and give without like it becoming the you show. That's the tough part.
Yes, or giving too much, because you can say, you know, in my experience, I found this was really beneficial for me, and I'd really love for you to pursue it.
Yeah.
You don't need to go any further than that. You know, in my experience, you know, or I haven't done this, but I'd really like to, or, you know, I think it's stepping into that human space without overshare, making it all about you, or making the client feel like they've got to take care of you.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. So if you can bring insight with a little bit of human, brilliant. Yeah. And experience, you know. Okay, so with that in mind, what I know you've sort of said this a few times, like if you went back, what would you do differently? But I'm actually going to ask you for, okay, Aaron's now learned everything that you've gone through, all right, and compare yourself. And of course, it's all personal growth, isn't it? So you would never, like, if you start as a personal trainer 10 years ago, you're never going to be the same person 10 years later. But if there are a few things you could say, I really, really would like you to look at this a little bit earlier, what would those things be?
Probably less fitness, more life.
Oh.
As a person, like when you're trying to look after someone, you know, it's great to be the best personal trainer in that gym and come up with the most accurate training session that has the best technique for that individual and blah, blah, blah. All that can help because it builds confidence, it builds better life, it builds better health. But look after the person's lifestyle a bit more as well. I would potentially look at how I deliver. I would look at more contact time in between sessions. You know, I think a lot of us try to chase the hours and chase, you know, getting through as many clients as possible. And you are obviously quite fatigued. I used to be absolutely knackered at the end of the day of personal training, and then not have that scope and that bandwidth to be able to get on the button and message someone and see how they're getting on. And I would spend more of your energy up front and also building things out as well. Like I've learned to, we've built out huge amounts of content, which has made our lives easier as personal trainers at Peppy. So we've got loads of content that we can now pop to people and we can just tweak and give. So it's still personal, targeted, but build yourself out some resources at the beginning. I think those are a couple of key things. Is spend a bit more time on the person's lifestyle and life. Build out some more resources front end to make your life then easier to then provide more back end support to what you do, and be in contact with a better support network. You can always grow. I often would work with physios or osteos in the past, maybe a nutritionist, but what about a mental health practitioner? You know, what about the other softer side of things? Why not be in contact with those so you really can offer that rounded support? And you've got to think as well, right? This is something I used to think, and I still probably think about it stronger now, is if your person wants weight loss and the thing that they're not doing is the food side, I tell you what, take a few weeks off from me, use that money to go and spend some time with a nutritionist, right? That's a scary thing to say, but that person at that point will go, wow, you know, I appreciate you. I appreciate your level of honesty. I appreciate you putting me in contact with the best person possible. And guess what? They'll come back to you then.
100%.
They'll 100% trust you more. They'll stay with you longer.
They
don't want to leave you because they know in future, if it doesn't matter what it is, Aaron will put me in the right in front of the right person.
You're prioritizing them.
Aaron will look after me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so when you were talking about just that reflection and stuff, there was one word that was springing, it might be two words, burnout. What are your tips for a PT not getting to burnout? Because I think there's a lot of PTs who are work, and just can't give anymore. So what are some tips that you could give to, you know, a PT for that?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's I guess understanding your price point, which is really tough at the moment, because I know a lot of people are struggling. I know a lot of people, personal trainers, are losing clients because people are being more careful with their money, and we are a luxury. So maybe people have to think about their offering as a whole and how they deliver it, right? And coming up with a more business orientated package rather than this human. Look, human contact is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
It makes such a difference, but I've found I've made just as much difference, probably with more people, because I'm in front of over 1,000 men on our app. I've made like proper differences without being in front of them. So I think we need to think about, and you don't always have to be in front of your client. You can think about packages and ways that you can sell to your client is, look, I'm going to look after you. It just might not all be one-to-one. And then you've got the opportunity to sit on your bum for a bit. That's something that I've really enjoyed since joining Peppy, is my ability to actually sit on my bottom for a little bit. That's been lovely. And yeah, really try and like rehash and rejig and try and come up with different ways that you can add value. That doesn't mean you have to be on your feet in front of people, putting your best face on all the time. I used to find that was the most exhausting thing for me. Was trying to be upbeat the entire time, regardless. That takes a lot of energy, and it depends. Some people are just naturally people, and I wasn't. I'm not. I'm, believe it or not, from me rambling on, but I'm quite a shy person until I actually get to know someone. I'm quite
me too.
It takes a lot out of me to present and to perform and to be that jazz hands personal trainer.
Both of us are introverts who display as extroverts, right? That's who we are, right? And I think there's a lot of people in our industry who are also like that. So they have to remember that, they need time away from people to recharge.
Take a holiday.
Or two.
Seriously, take a holiday. I didn't take enough holidays when I was a personal trainer, and it might have resulted in a few extra quid in my pocket, but it didn't make me happier. Take a holiday. Take your time off. Take your bank holidays. These are all things that I'm learning now. I get my holiday pay, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's lovely. But it's made I can't tell you how much difference it has made to my just overall stress levels. At times I felt like I was up here knocking on the top of my head, like steam was about to start pouring out the top. And now I'm kind of feeling like I'm down here somewhere. Like I feel there's room, there's space there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good.
Down to a bit of time off.
Yeah, I know. Look, you've been amazing. Thank you. Is there anything else that you had that you wanted to share? I know we've both done a bit of research of what we wanted to talk about. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we close off?
Not really. No, I think you've
covered a lot.
Hit the nail on the head. Is that just look after the entire person, and it is Men's Health week and month, and you've got to look after your men, you've got to look after your women as well, and take all these learnings into everybody. And I think we often do pigeonhole man, woman, male, female, and we're getting much better at that now, aren't we, at not pigeonholing people as groups of people. You can have your tribe, you can have your group, but we've got to look at individuals as individuals.
Absolutely. I'll just mention the Men's Health Forum. So if people want to research, there's something on there. If you look up Men's Health Week 2022, Men's Health Forum will probably pop up. It talks about a men's MOT. It's actually quite cool how they've done it. They've actually sort of done it as if a guy is like a automobile. So they've done it, it might be worth, having a little look at that, maybe not for yourself, but maybe your clients and stuff like that. I wanted to obviously say a massive thank you to you, Aaron. I know you're very, very busy. I know you're a cat dad of 2. So have you actually closed the door so they wouldn't join us?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, so how can people follow you and your journey and what you're doing?
Yeah, they can follow me. Probably Instagram is the best place to grab hold of me, and it's at Coach Azza, CoachAZza. That's probably the easiest place to find me. But check us out on Peppy as well. If you look at Peppy on Instagram as well, there's all the links. And we're doing a lot over Men's Health Month. We've got a lot of great content coming out via the app. We're doing a couple of little bits that people can actually log into and sign into as well via that. And they can, fellow fitness professionals can check us out on LinkedIn as well. We're a growing business, so keep watching our space if you like the sound of what I do.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say how they spell Peppy, because I didn't know at first. It's Peppy, correct?
Yeah, Peppy.
Yay. Okay, well look, Aaron, I know once I've stopped this recording, I'm going to chat to you for a moment anyway, so we can say our official goodbyes. But I wanted to say thank you to the FitPro community for joining us today on this webcast. I hope you've learnt loads, posting things on social media, keep us up to date with what on earth you are up to, and we will look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Keep waving.